Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today will be my game week 13 team selection. I'll run you through how I'm getting on so far this season and what my dilemmas are going into this game week. We have 3 free transfers, so there are definitely some big decisions I want to make this week with so many free hitting. On the free hit, I'll also make a live draft at the end of the video, so stay tuned. Let's get straight into it. So let me quickly invite you to hit the like button and subscribe before we get into it. Again, we are closing on 10k subscribers and we're almost at the end of the year, so do smash the buttons for me if you are enjoying the content. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything, but here's my team. Usually we go defenders, midfielders, forwards, but here's my team. I think we have so much to discuss in this video with my current transfer plans and even a free hit draft that I want to display live. So here's my team. On goal, we've got Nick Pope, 3 at the back in Richards, Mukiele, Timber, 5 in midfield, Bruno, Sarr, Anderson, Salah, and Enzo, 2 up top in Pedro and Haaland, and 4 on the bench with Dubravka, Anderson, Rodin, and Marquis. Now, the reason I'm showing this is because there are so many different permutations with 3 free transfers in the bank that I could do, and I want to definitely use all 3 this game week. I'm almost set on it, and 2 at a minimum. So, quickly, let me talk about my own players and how I currently feel about my team. First off, should you be free hitting? How I would quantify this for those who are free hitting, and we'll talk about the triple captaincy chip as well, because I know there's a lot of managers who are in that boat where they don't know if triple captain is better than free hit this week, and if they are free hitting, is it even better than their own team? So here is how I would make that decision if I were you. If my team was going to score 20 plus points over my normal team after I free hit, I would activate it. So I would make a free hit draft. I would compare it to my current team, and if it's over 20 points, I wouldn't think twice about it. On the triple captaincy, again, if that rule doesn't follow, if your current team would score, less than 20 points from your free hit, and you think Haaland is going to smash it this game week, which I think a lot of people do with every single draft having him, I would have the triple captaincy on Haaland. And then that'd be another decision I wouldn't think twice about it. I feel like we think about these decisions a small bit too much. Now, I know there are a lot of people who will look to use it elsewhere, and I actually am really fond of going elsewhere with it. I was boring enough, and I actually used it in a Burnley fixture when a lot of managers didn't own him. So that was my leg up to kind of be different. But in this particular scenario, you're going to be going up against a lot of free hits, and I do feel like it is genuinely a really good week to use it. Looking at the market odds, Haaland is over 1 expected goals, and of course, he's just gobbling up so much of goal share that I wouldn't even be too worried about it. Now, what I would do is I would probably also try look, if you're not free hitting, to get a piece of that City attack, whether that is a Doku, who I think looks quite good, and O'Reilly, who looks great at this current point in time, or Phil Foden. I just feel like if you're going to triple captain, therefore you're saying, okay, City are going to score loads of goals in this game, then I would double down and have another City attacker and go, okay, if my triple captain's going to do well, I like to hope Foden does well. So that's my piece on whether or not you should free hit or triple captain. Now, going and looking at my team versus the free hitters, what can we look to expect? Well, I would expect to see a lot of managers use the free hit and have Mo Salah and Erling Haaland. Now, if I look at how they're going to do that, I look at the likes of a neighbour like Elliot Anderson, who I think is a phenomenal boy, might I add, this weekend. Again, with the likes of Jesus, we're unsure if he's going to be on pens, and it looks like Morgan Gibbs-White has a chance of missing this game. It means Anderson is going to be on the penalties. So, again, I'm happy with the floor of Elliot Anderson. Of course, his DEFCON averaging 10 at a minimum this season so far, and he's just been on such good form, and he's had a little rest midweek. Liverpool are on poor form, and I know I'm not speaking about my team in order, but I'm just trying to talk about a lot of the players that will be in the free hits, and Mo Salah will be included in a lot of free hits, I imagine. Slight doubt about his minutes going into this weekend. I'll be honest with how poor Liverpool have been. And of course, he got the 90 minutes in the Champions League. So there are some definitely small doubts. Now, I just look at that attack and I don't think Salah is the problem, with the likes of Ekitike being a doubt with his back strain, and also Florian Wirtz potentially back. I just don't see a world which Arne Slot risks these type of players. But let's talk about some of my transfers. Again, I don't want to bore you and speak about all my picks. Let's look at some of my moves that I could make this week. So if we take a look at the first iteration of what I could do this game week with my 3 free transfers, use 2 of them. Do João Pedro to Nick Woltermade, who I think is really, really underrated. I think particularly for this game week. And next, also do Jan Minteh in for Enzo Fernandez. Now, I just want to caveat and say I don't think Enzo Fernandez is the worst hold this week. I think he'll be a busy boy going up against Arsenal. Now, again, Arsenal are by far the hardest fixture in the league. We see him beat Bayern, who I consider one of the best teams in Europe for sure. They are just in such good form and look absolutely unstoppable. But I still feel like because Enzo is going to be so busy, if anything is going to happen for Chelsea at the bridge, I would imagine it's going to come through Enzo Fernandez, unless a moment of brilliance comes from Estevao, who is also on some form. Um, Again, I don't mind getting rid of Enzo Fernandez, but if I was on free hit, I would definitely be holding on to him, of course, and you'd have him back for this Leeds away, which is definitely something that needed to be talked about last game week when a lot of people actually sold Enzo before his haul. But anyway, I digress. Jan Minteh, playing for a Brighton team, we're going to score a lot of goals again. He's just starting every single game, getting great minutes, and he's also on really good form. When he dribbles, he always looks like he's going to do something. And he also has a good base for DEFCON. So these are the two boring moves I can make. Just to speak about Voldemade a small bit more. Everton away, and then he plays against Tottenham, I believe. Some really nice fixtures in there. And then Burnley and Sunderland down the line. I feel like Nick Voldemade is after getting a rest in midweek again. Interesting to see Anthony Gordon is back, so maybe his pen share might be reduced by quite a large margin. Players like Harvey Barnes getting into form, and Newcastle, I feel like as the weeks go on, are getting better and better now. They did lose midweek, but they have key players like Dan Burn eventually coming back, Hall, Livermento. So only a matter of time until we've seen Trippier come back. And Gordon is, of course, back. So I feel like if you are sure in Volamade's minutes, he's definitely still a good option. And we've seen in that game versus City that he's always going to get opportunities, particularly at St. James's Park. So that's the first iteration of the team. I will just say I don't love it. Let's look at the next one. So the next version of this draft, I could use 3 free transfers. Bring Thiago in for João Pedro. Bring Dominic Szoboszlai in for Enzo Fernandez. And bring in Senesi from Mukiele. Now, I really, really like this version of it. And I think it is a small bit safer at the same time while still creating a lot of risk because as much as this is a great week to free hit, I actually will own players like Salah for the long term and Szoboszlai and the likes of Thiago. Now, I think Thiago is not a bad boy this game week at all. Burnley at home. I would definitely bench him versus Arsenal. And that means playing 4 at the back next week and the week after. I think he plays Tottenham, which is not a bad fixture to start him in. But I do like this. What I would say on Szoboszlai is he is the one shining light out of this Liverpool team. Anytime I watch Liverpool, he seems to be the man that seems to be showing up, but he's just his teammates are not quite up to par. And with Curtis Jones potentially playing at right back, it leaves Szoboszlai playing the 10, which I think he's decent still for DEFCON. And he's also great for attacking threat. Now, I'm not penciling this in because he scored in midweek. I genuinely think Szoboszlai is a decent shout, regardless of the form Liverpool are in. Because again, like we're seeing in these games, I actually don't care if Liverpool lose or how bad they're playing, as long as they're creating chances of scoring goals. Even though the result didn't go their way midweek and they lost 4-1, they created some chances. Now against City and the game after that wasn't such the case. But with West Ham away, who've conceded a 4.1 XG to Bournemouth, I consider this a great fixture for Liverpool. And looking at their fixtures down the line, who've they got? They've got the likes of Sunderland at home and Leeds, which but I can't look past those fixtures. That's the best way to put it. Just on Senesi in for Mukiele. I don't love this move. I feel like Senesi has again, like I always speak about, a high floor week in, week out. Pairing that with some decent fixtures to come. So definitely something on my mind. Again, this is definitely one in contention for me, and I'll speak about it just before we get into the free hit draft, where are my current thoughts on the best one. But again, this is really high up there. Let's look at a riskier draft. So option 3 is the aggressive one, and it actually means tripling up on the City boys. So dropping João Pedro down to a Barnes, bringing Phil Foden up from Enzo Fernandez, and bringing Nico O'Reilly in for Claude Mukiele. Now, I don't think this would be a popular one, and I understand that. I think when I look at my team long term, I don't love it. Bringing in double City when we know there's a lot of fixture congestion just raises alarm bells in my mind. I think the alternative route that I do like is O'Reilly to Van Dijk due to minutes. Now, Liverpool are in a poor place. Again, I know I'll be shut down this week and cancelled because how poor Liverpool have been, and I'm still advocating to bring them in. But I still feel like with DEFCON, knowing that he's going to start week in, week out, and the fixtures, I still can't look past it, lads. And I still feel like Virgil van Dijk is a decent hold if you do own him, and not a bad buy at all. But the more aggressive route is definitely to go Nico O'Reilly, chasing the upside. I almost feel like it is a matter of time until Phil Foden starts to return for the City team. When I look at him play, he's getting in all the right areas. He's getting good touches in the box. He's taking shots in the right areas. He's just not converting. And with the fixtures they have, if he's getting the minutes, I'd be confident in thinking that he's going to return sooner rather than later. Again, it's all about whether or not you think the minutes are there long term for Foden. But I feel like he's part of this best team for City. Another one we could talk about is Jeremy Doku. Now, I feel like Doku is definitely a good option. He's just one of those players, though, that if City are doing well, he'll stay on the pitch. But if City are playing poor and they aren't converting and things are just not right, he'll always be one of the first subbed off around 60 minutes. So it's definitely a decision that you could have to weigh up whether or not you feel Doku is better value than Foden. I feel like going Foden, though, with the goal threat we know he provides and how clinical we know he can be on his day, I think I prefer that route. Let me know in the comment section what you think of these drafts. If you were to ask me right now which one I prefer, my preference would be option 2, going to Dominic Szoboszlai and also Thiago. Now, I also understand if you don't like that at all, but for me, I just feel like getting on Thiago this game week and then benching him next week and potentially going forward to back with Senesi, Richards, Timber, and Anderson, and having consistent players like Anderson in midfield, Szoboszlai, and Bruno to take away nicely before I inevitably get rid of Mo Salah and Sarr in game week 15 or 16 for AFCON. So taking a look at the free hit draft, again, I do apologise if this video is a small bit messy, but I wanted to do a live section on free hit so I can give you some of my thoughts on how I would pick the free hit. So I feel like there are a lot of players who almost pick themselves. We have the likes of Dubravka, Esteve, Mukiele, who are there because I know what formation I would want to play if I was on free hit. My preference would always be to play 3-5-2 again. It's just my playstyle and I can't look past it even on a free hit. So I've penciled in the likes of Dubravka, Esteve, Mukiele and Mark Guy. So that means we're going to play 2 up top, 5 in midfield and 3 at the back, of course, with a goalkeeper that we have not yet chosen. Just on Mo Salah, again, I feel like he's the obvious one. Are you going to go double, triple Liverpool? Do you want no Liverpool? I've seen a lot of shouts of that. I feel like there'd be no world in which I'd be going no Liverpool. Again, this is a one-off game week that you're using the free hit. So I would still have Mo Salah. You don't need to hold on to him. And I would also have at least one other Liverpool asset if it was me. So let me quickly talk about Elliot Anderson before we move on to that. I feel like Erling Haaland has to be in the team, of course. Has the best fixture this game week for me. Elliot Anderson is the bridge that lets you have both Haaland and Salah. Again, you've seen in my own team, I've got Elliot Anderson, and he's the one who seems to be ticking away nicely, so I can have the likes of Salah, Haaland, Bruno, whoever it is. For me, I would be going with Dominic Szoboszlai also in here. Now, again, this wouldn't be a popular one. Again, I feel like a lot of players in this team pick themselves. But at 6.6 million, I feel like with West Ham, again, he scored midweek. He's going to create and get opportunities. He might also be on for DEFCON. And I feel like in this game with West Ham, if they particularly play a low block, Szoboszlai is always good for a shot as well. So I would have Szoboszlai personally in a one-off game week. Also, I would definitely have Phil Foden. Like I said in my own section, Foden long term, there are question marks, but in a one-off game week with Leeds at home, I would definitely own him with the quality we know he has. There are some other options I feel like picked themselves this week. I feel like Thiago up top definitely has to be in this team. And that leaves us with 28.7 million to pick 5 other players. Just on Thiago, I feel like because he's on penalties, has the best fixture this game week. He's always going to be very highly projected on the goal scoring list this weekend. I don't think there will be anyone free hitting without him. So I feel like we're almost differentiating ourselves already by having double Liverpool. I would also try squeezing Virgil van Dijk. Again, West Ham are really, really poor aerially. Liverpool are poor defensively, don't get me wrong, but if he is going to be getting 90 minutes, has a good opportunity to get DEFCON, I would have Virgil van Dijk, and again, I understand if you don't like it. I would also have Nico O'Reilly. Again, my goal this game week, O'Reilly, dash, right, Nico. Sorry, hold on, let me try to find them. But anyway, let me keep speaking. Again, I would be trying to maximize my points here. And that means picking some differential players that I think are very, very high upside this game week. So here's how the team currently looks. Again, 17.6 million to pick 3 other players. I feel like Matty Cash would definitely be in here with the great fixture he has. And I also feel like you could either go with Quaveen Kelleher to cover Nathan Collins if you don't want to go there, or you could go up to Martinez. I actually would pick Kelleher. I feel like he's definitely a good option with Burnley at home, and it also leaves 8.5 million in the bank rather than leaving only 8. So you can have that money to play around with. Again, of course, we will have different team values, but if we filter this by players at 8.5 million and we'll go by price, we can go with the likes of Mbeumo, Marmouche, Semenyo if he thinks he's going to be fit, Eze, which I wouldn't actually go with, Gakpo. I don't think anyone would triple up with Liverpool in this current time. I'm actually going to go with Morgan Rogers, and that leaves you with 1.6 million to work around with in the bank. Now, that means you could do a Anderson up to a Kevin Schade if you wanted. I believe that is enough money. 0.1 short, again, you can find that somewhere if you do a Claude Mukiele down to a Rodon. But this would be my thought process picking my team every single week, and I do apologize, I was looking up on my monitor in the top right, but it would be on the lines of something like this. Again, I don't think too many people would differentiate from this. You might have the likes of a Collins at the back rather than a Virgil. I can understand that. Maybe you want to go, for example, Virgil to Senesi, or Collins and Schade up to an Mbeumo or someone like that. But I feel like I'd be very happy going into the game week with something like this. Now, just on the captaincy, I feel like for me, after what we've seen midweek with Liverpool, it would be a no-brainer with the rest that Haaland got to put the armband on him. Just the slight minute concern with Salah. I still feel like he'll start though. So, you know, Haaland is more likely to get 90 minutes than the likes of a Salah. But here's the draft that I would go with. Again, I would just knock Mukiele down to a Rodon, and I'd be more than happy to free hit with something like that. If I look at some of the players that are missing from this draft, again, you are going against the obvious players like Jurriën Timber, who is always going to be a good option. Bruno Fernandes, but you have to make the risk on free hit. I feel like if you're not doing that, I mean, I would just stick with your current team if you're going to own players like Bruno, for example. But anyway, I'm going to round up the video there, lads. Again, I hope you did like the live section. I do apologise if the video was a bit messy. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you for a deadline stream tomorrow, 2 hours before the deadline.